afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this workshop. Let me introduce myself. My name is Syallom Maharani, and I am responsible for today's workshop presenter. The purpose of today's presentation is to train you how to get an A in college. If you have any question you'd like to ask, please leave them until the end, when I will be happy to answer them. In today's presentation, I'd like to cover 3 points. Firstly, why we have to fight to get an A, and secondly, the method to get an A, and finally, the result of SQPRR method. Okay, I'd like to start by looking at why we have to fight to get an A. First, it's to maintain a stable GPA above 3.5. If you keep getting a A, you can maintain your GPA above 3.5, which will definitely make your mom and dad proud of you. Secondly, to make it easier to get a scholarship. Usually, educational scholarship require proof of transcript, and in the administrative selection, the scholarship provider usually consider your GPA. Even when you get a scholarship, you will also be required to maintain your GPA above 3.0 or even 3.5. Lastly, to get cum laude predicate when graduating. This predicate is a predicate of praise when you graduate. The campus will give you a special award if you achieve cum laude position. So that's an overview of why we have to fight to get an A. Getting straight A helps keep your GPA above 3.5, which makes your parents proud. Then many scholarship providers assess applicants based on their transcript and GPA, and requires a recipient to maintain a minimum GPA of 3.0 until 3.5. And a high GPA can make it possible for you to earn cum laude honors at graduation, a special honors from your campus. Next, I'd like to take a look at the method to get an A. There are 5 methods. It's SEPRR. The first one is survey. Before the class starts, it's a good idea to read briefly about the material to be studied, to get an overview of the material before studying in depth in the class. There are 5 methods. It's SEPRR. The first one is survey. Before the class starts, it's a good idea to read briefly about the material to be studied, to get an overview of the material before studying in the class. Start as by reading the chapter title, subtitle, and chapter summary. You also can add notes of key points in the chapter. Secondly, ask questions. When in lectures, don't just sit still. You should also be active in asking questions to the lecturer, especially if there is something you don't understand. And the third is practice. By doing practice question will help you understand more about what you are studying. Then reading. The more you read, the more knowledge you will absorb. When doing practice question, if there is something that confuses you, you can also read by adding a highlighter to the sentence that you consider important. And the last one is review. After class is over and when you are at home, it is very important to you make a review what you have learned. This is to move the information received by our brain from short-term to long-term memory. So that concludes on the method to get an A is with survey the material before class start, then ask the lecturer if there is anything unclear, and do the practice question. Then read again if there is something you don't understand while doing the practice question. And finally, review the material you just studied at home. Now I like to move on. The last section is the result of SUPRR method. First, if you do this method, of course, you will be remembered by the lecturer because you stand out compared to other students. Second, makes it easier for you to understand the material because you have studied it briefly before class. Then, make it easier for you to do assignment or exams because you have reviewed the material you have studied, so that the memory of you what you have studied will be in your long-term memory. The last one is if you are remembered by the lecturer, can easily understand the material and do assignment and exams, of course, you will get a satisfactory grade. That is an A grade. I think that just about covers how to get an A in college. That brings us to the end of the final sections. Now, if I can just summarize the main points again. If you want to get an A in college, you have to work hard by doing the SQPRR method. Survey, question, practice, read, and review. Finally, I'd like to end by thanking you all for coming today. Thank you for watching. If anyone has any question, please feel free to ask them now.